And welcome to our week number 7 Twitch live stream. I've got my little kitty. He came close, so I scooped him up. I can't remember if I told you that we named him Noodle or not, but let me grab little Noodle here. So, Noodle! He's getting so big. He's like 4 weeks old. No, 4 weeks, 4 months old. Sorry, 4 months old. But he's so cute. I love this little cat. He came close. He doesn't know to avoid me yet. So all my other cats, it's like the second I pull up my computer, they know, but not this one. So I'll take it. But good morning or good afternoon. I hope everybody, yeah, he will learn. I hope everybody is doing well and hanging in there as we kind of almost the halfway point of the semester. It's hard to believe that that's where we're at, but we are. We are in week number 7. So what we'll do today, like usual, I want to give you a little bit of feedback from last week with the homework assignment and stuff like that, and then we'll talk about what we have going on this week. Can you all hear me and see me? Okay, it seems like everything's coming through fine, but just to double check really quickly. Right, perfect. Okay, great. I'm glad to hear it. So let's go ahead and go over to Canvas and we can take a look at what we have going on. So last week was week number 6, and now we are right here, week number 7. Hope everyone had a good Valentine's Day for those of you who celebrate Valentine's Day. So a little bit about last week. Right, so last week we did have that homework assignment and we had a discussion and they were very connected, though some of you struggled a little bit with some of that stuff. So I want to go over that a little bit to make sure that everyone's feeling clear. I gave that feedback in a few people's discussion grades that I'll go over it this week. So I want to make sure to do that. So let's take a look at the discussion first really quickly. And what I was looking at here is that you could identify kind of what's going on. Is it correlational? Is it experimental? A lot of you did great with this, right? So this first one, they didn't manipulate anything. So it's just correlational research. Both of them went in the same direction. So it's positive. And we can't conclude that it causes, right? Because remember, correlation does not equal causation. So it's a big thing that I'd like you to just try and remember in the back of your head. Oh, you missed the cat, so you, or here, he came back. So here's the kitty. See, look, ask and you shall receive, right? He's spicy right now. I really wish we had named him Cheeto because he is like a little spicy Cheeto. But, but yes, so there he's back, right? I hate the commercials too. That's why I always push for subscribing. But it looks like we're good now, so hopefully you got a chance to see him a little bit. The second one here was an experiment. They did set up groups. They manipulated some stuff. So this one was experimental. I was looking for you to talk about the independent and dependent variable, you know, whether they had water flavored to taste similar to kombucha or actually kombucha. And then the dependent variable would be how many letters that they were recalling. Oh, you're welcome. And so from this one, we can conclude cause because we've deliberately manipulated and set up an experiment. Though I loved, some of you were saying, well, I don't know how well they set it up and I don't know how many people were in it, which I thought was pretty amazing that you were thinking so critically. So overall in the discussion, really nicely done. Again, we're continuing to build. I know that the materials are getting a little more challenging, so hang in there. If you start to feel confused or lost, try and catch it before it continues because we just keep adding at this point. And I think we're still in a very manageable spot. So I want to go over as well the homework really quickly. And this one I think gave people fits a little bit more. And you will see a question very similar to this on exam number 2. Let's see if he'll stop trying to eat my computer. You're not going to eat my computer. I'm going to pin you. So with this one, what I was looking to see was that you could identify the type of validity that they were interested in, right? So by looking at Dr. Lopez, Shaw, and Jefferson, like what kind of validity were they studying? And a lot of you got this, but a few of you struggled a little bit. And I saved my responses here just so I could bring that up to go over with you. Sorry, too many windows, right? Let me pull this up. Come on. All right. So, there we go. So what I was looking to see was that you could identify right, what was going on with each one of these, right? Who was looking at what? And Dr. Lopez was looking at external validity. Dr. Shaw was looking at internal validity. And then the last one, Dr. Jefferson, looking at construct validity. So I was looking to see that you could kind of take the questions that they had and the things that they were concerned about and then connect those directly to the materials. So most of you, as I said, got that. A few of you were a little confused or like mixed one of them up. We're not too concerned. Sorry. I'm like, sometimes it's cute, sometimes it's a much. We're not super concerned with statistical validity in this class. That's if you took a statistics class, you would focus more on that. So very rarely is that going to be the answer as a little like tip. Let's look at the other part here. Most of you did beautiful on this. I was really impressed with how well you all did at identifying these components, right? So the independent variable in this one was what drug they're taking. Is it mood core or a placebo? And then the dependent variable was their weight as measured by a scale. Number 2, you were looking at, oh, sorry, I skipped. Yeah, that was number 2. Number 3, a clinical psychologist hypothesizes that inspirational tapes will lead to a better mood. So here it's the music that they're listening to or the sound, whether it was an inspirational tape or white noise. And then we're measuring mood, right, which was rated on a 10-point scale. This next one was whether they drink water before bed or not, right? So we have 25 children that have 2 glasses of water and 25 that don't have water. So those are our 2 conditions of the independent variable. And then the dependent variable is whether they wet the bed, right? Which is a parent's report. And then finally, the most complicated, kind of adding one extra element here. This one we are looking at the independent variable, which is right here, right? So we have a 70-degree room, a 90-degree room, and a 40-degree room. So looking at environmental temperature, and we had 3 different conditions or levels for that. And then we are measuring reaction time in seconds. So remember to always kind of ask yourself, what is the effect of the independent variable on the dependent variable? And then try and see if you can plug it in. What is the effect of environmental temperature on reaction time? What is the effect of drinking water on wetting the bed? Right? And then you can try and sub those out. Yeah, okay. Yeah, and some of you, like there were a few people who were confused, which is why I definitely wanted to go over this a little bit. And again, you know, some of this stuff is a little bit confusing. I think this and the neuropsych class are probably the 2 of the harder classes in psychology at this level. So if you're doing pretty well and hanging in there, pat yourself on the back. If it's a little bit confusing, you're okay. We'll get there. We'll get there together. You're taking both. Yeah, I mean, they're both a little bit challenging, right? So for me, this one wasn't, but neuropsych was. And so, you know, you never know, right? Sometimes they click a little bit easier for some of us. But most of you, as I said, did really well. A lot of great scores on this and a lot of great scores on the discussion. If you missed a couple of points, don't stress about it. You can do these extra credit questions and hopefully it'll all kind of come together and click for you soon. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at what we have for this week. So now we are in week number 7, scrolling all the way down here. Week number 7, and we're looking at chapter 5. So if we click on this, chapter 5 this week, we're looking at how kind of identifying good measurement, right? So we're going to look at how do we measure variables, what are the different types of measurement, different types of scales. We're going to start talking about types of reliability and validity. I thought this little graphic here was really, really helpful that's in the book, so I included it. And then this one here as well. So make sure you read through this. Definitely read through the Beyond the Book page, more on operationalization and validity and so on. And then the final page, as always, is kind of key terms that you need to know for the exam. Don't forget to read the chapter in the book, right? That's where you're going to get the bulk of the information. And then also watch my lecture video where I lecture to those slides. Hopefully between the 3 of them, you kind of get everything covered nicely and you can feel pretty good about that content. The discussion for this week, discussion 7, is definitely connected to that. As always, you have my instructions at the top and my video. I think this one's kind of fun. It involves ice cream, and I love ice cream. Not as much as cake, but I love ice cream. It's a good second. So for this one, what you're going to do is you're going to look at how could you operationalize coffee intake using each of the three different types of measures talked about below. So how could you operationalize coffee intake as a self-report measure, an observational measure, and a physiological measure, and explain, kind of write about that. And then number 2, you're going to go and take a ice cream test. Very important information here. What flavor ice cream did you get? What did the results say about you? You can go ahead and copy and paste that into here. That's completely fine for number 2. And then you're going to be critiquing. Do you think this quiz is reliable? Explain and comment on the bullets below. What kind of reliability would be relevant? How could you empirically establish this quiz's reliability? Describe one method you could use to quantify the reliability for this quiz. And then finally, do you think the quiz is valid? Explain and comment on how would you establish the criterion validity of this quiz. So you'll take the quiz, and I give you a couple of options just in case for some reason one of the links was broken, but you'll take that and then you'll answer some questions about it along with coffee intake. Coffee and ice cream, 2 great core foods. If we added cake, we'd have the Trinity, right? Not really, but it's a funny thought. So those are the main things for this week, kind of a normal, typical week where you have the lecture to read, the chapter to read, and the lecture video, the discussion, and then of course I'll post the recording of this right here a little bit later. And I do have an extra credit question for you. If you have any questions for me, this would be a wonderful time to ask. I do have a couple of quick reminders for you as usual. I typed this one out. As I mentioned last week, a lot of you fell off in your subscription status. If you could take a moment to just kind of check that and renew it, I would really appreciate that. So I'm going to put it in the chat just because it saves me so much time not having to match all of your names and login information on here up to each other, which is a little bit of a pain. And then the other reminder is our next Twitch live stream will be on Wednesday, February 28th at 12:30 p.m. So that will be our live stream for next week. Somebody just yanked the USB out of my computer and fell on the floor with it. Again, the fun of teaching at home sometimes, right? So that will be our next Twitch live stream next week, and we'll go over everything for week number 8. But for now, focus on week 7. I do obviously have an extra credit question for you as well. Let me copy and paste that into the chat. Lucky that that's still opened. So this is the week number 7 Twitch extra credit. Okay, so I'm putting it here in the chat. What are the 3 types of reliability? List and define all 3. What are the 3 different types of reliability covered this week in the chapter? List and define all 3. And when you're ready, you will go to Canvas. Since we're in week 7, you'll click on optional Twitch extra credit number 7. And then up at the top, click on Start Assignment. And then when this comes up, you can type your response and then go ahead and hit Submit to get your confetti burst and presents. Oh, very exciting. We'll see what you get. It's like the little things in life, right? Like, what's it going to be today? So anyway, please feel free to do that. You have all the way till Sunday night. And then what I'll do from here is I'll hang out. If you do have any questions for me, I am happy to answer them. Excuse me, next week we do have exam number 2, so you could always get started on studying for that if you're interested. The study guide will pop up next week, and you can obviously review all of the key terms that we've covered so far in this unit. But otherwise, get going on everything for this week. If you have any questions, I am here. Noodle says goodbye with his salty, sassy little self, knocking stuff off everywhere. But I hope you all have a wonderful week, a chance to dry out a little bit with the rain stopping today. And then I will hope to see you all next week on our live stream for week number 8. Right? Thank you as well. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to minimize this so I'm not staring at myself, but I will hang out for a little while if you do have any questions. Otherwise, have a great week, and feel free to email me if you think of something later. You're welcome. Thank you as well. Oh, and thank you. Noodle says thank you. Go again for a bit more clarity. Do you have a specific question about the Jenna about the homework number two? Is there one that you're confused about at all? Like which one? If you could kind of give me a little bit more information, I'd be happy to go over it again for you. I'll open it up here while you're opening it up, and then we'll have it together. We'll both have it open when we're ready, right? Okay. Okay, so you said on the types of validity you were looking for and the ones on how it's operationalized. So, if I'm understanding correctly, because that's like two slightly different things, right? So, the first three here with the homework, what you were supposed to look at is kind of what type of validity are they interested in, right? So, Dr. Lopez is looking at sampling, right? Did he sample from his own college students? Maybe this is only true of his students. If he's talking about any of sampling kind of stuff, right, that's going to be that external validity, right? He's looking to see, can I externalize this and generalize it to other people? Dr. Shaw is asking questions about, like, did the researchers conduct an experiment or just a correlational study? If it's correlational, was there a third variable, right? So he's asking those kind of questions, right? So with Dr. Shaw, we're talking about internal validity. And then Jefferson, right, is looking at like, oh, this could mean a bunch of different things. How do they operationalize it? So his is internal validity. And if you go back to the materials from last week, there was a really, I believe, like, I'm trying to remember where it was. I think there's a really great chart in the textbook, and I can't remember if I put it in the lecture or not, but let's look. Where you can kind of see, hey, let's get it off my computer. These different types. So let's see, did I put it in here? Okay, so right here, so here's this little thing that's in the book as well. So internal validity, you're looking at like, is it trustworthy? Can I determine cause and effect? External validity, we're looking at how well does it like externalize to other people? Like we're looking at issues of sampling and kind of stuff. Yeah, no, so like I mentioned earlier, we're very rarely going to talk about statistics in here just because it's kind of outside the scope of the class. So instead of statistics for, we're looking at construct validity. How are we defining something? Statistics is going to give us like, the magnitude of the relationship. We might have like R values or Pearson's R values, calculating null hypotheses, things that we're not necessarily doing in this class, but that you would do if you were to take a statistics course. So I hope that helps a little bit. It's very rarely going to be statistical validity. It's kind of one that we just aren't going to focus on too much in this class. But if you take statistics, like I said, you would focus on it quite a bit. Yeah, you're welcome. I'm happy to go over that again for you. That's the one advantage to this, right? We have the time to kind of go over it together, which I think is fantastic. Right? Perfect. Of course, you're welcome. See you next week. All right, everyone, it looks like everyone is logged off, so I'm going to go ahead and close this up so I can download it. But if you think of any questions, feel free to email me later in the week. Have a great week, everyone.